Okay, Airmiles tutorial. It's going to make this thing and kind of narrate what I'm doing as I go along. So first thing I need to do is import my Airmiles Illustrator file. File, import. Hey, here we go. File, import, file. And I'm going to have this in my classes, After Effects, 202, 10 exercises, Airmiles. There it is. Airmiles.ai. This is an Illustrator file. It was created with layers, and I want to maintain access to those layers, so I'm going to make sure that I import as composition cropped layers. And what that's going to do is going to give me a composition and a folder with all the files in it. And the composition will have the artwork arranged completely as it was intended and built in Illustrator. So here's the result. I have a composition and a folder. Inside the folder are all the layers that make up the artwork of this Airmiles piece. The composition, I'm going to go ahead and just open that up. One thing to keep in mind is that anytime you import something as a composition, it's going to adopt the duration of the previous project that you've been working on in After Effects. So the first thing that I want to do is go look at composition settings for this comp and have a look at 20 minutes. Did I really make? Yeah, I did. I really made a 20-minute After Effects project. That's just ridiculous. 5 seconds, 500. My frame rate 10. Oh no. This we want 2997. Okay, so yes, the one thing I'm going to change is the height. I'm going to do about half of this, so I'm going to go to 250 pixels high. I'll show you why in a second. Okay, so I hit OK, and my let's fit this up to, there we go. Okay, so we just cropped this composition, and now I can't see all of my artwork. Not a big deal. We're going to fix that in a second. I'm going to get rid of my cloud. I'm going to get rid of my airplane in this composition. Don't need them. All I want to do is focus on the hand, the tiles, and the ticket. And that's all I have left now. Hand, ticket, and then a bunch of other layers. So I'm just going to do a select all, which is Command A. Selects all my layers. I'm just going to come up here, grab them in the little comp window up here, and just move them down so that I can see all of them. That's pretty good. Okay. Maybe I'll look at this on black, easier on the eyes. Alright, so all the artwork separated into layers. So as you see, I can click on these things and you can see the bounding box and selected element on the canvas window or composition window. I need to do a couple things. I need to organize my layers. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to size this up a little bit here so I can see some more of my timeline. And I'm just going to go through on each tile here, select it, and then rename it, because we can't do anything with layer 6, layer 7, and so on. It's just not good organization. So I'm going to click on this top gray tile, this first one on the left, and I can see in my timeline that I identified it as layer 19. I'm going to select layer 19. I'm going to hit return so I can rename it, and I'm going to name it Top Gray 1, TG1. Now I'm going to select this orange one. It's layer 18. Hit return. TO for orange 1. And then the second gray tile. Come down, select it. TG2. And then this gray, the orange one here will be TO. There you go. 2. And then TO3, TG3, and the very last one is TO4. So I've named them, and I want to now order them. I'm going to order them in which I want them to appear on screen. So I'm going to do TG1. I'm going to pull it up underneath the ticket. And I have TO1, TG2, TO2, TO3, TG3, and TO4. I'm organizing them in order just to make this process easier for me and also just more organized. The next thing I'm going to do is the same thing to the bottom. So there's that guy, layer 9. So I'm going to do BO1, BG2, BO2, this will be BO3, and BO4. There's only 2 gray tiles in here. BG2. Hey. And then the very last little guy, hey there, layer 6, you are BO5. Now I'm going to organize these in the order in which I wish for them to appear. BO1. That's weird. BG1. Where are you, BG1? I called you BG2. You're not BG2, you're BG1. Alright. So there's BG1, and then we have O2, O3, gray 2, and O4. Oh, there we go. So the bottoms. Boom, 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 boom. Nope. You go there. Boom, boom. Okay. Hey, I double clicked and it opened up a layer window. Ooh. No big deal. Just come up here, close that layer window. Okay. The last tiles I want to name are the center arm tiles, the white ones. So I'm going to call that M1. And then we're going to have M2 and M3. And last but not least, M4. I'm going to reorder those as well. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, good. Now I'm going to stick those middle ones in between the top tiles and the bottom tiles. And I'm just going to do one more thing. I'm just going to, with all those 4 layers selected, I am going to change their color to, I don't know, yellow. There we go. Just to kind of, it's a visual assistant for me. And I'm just going to change these to yellow too. In fact, why don't I bring those down here? Yellow. So there, I've got all the middle guys in the middle. I've got all the top ones on top. The bottom ones are on the bottom. And this is good organization. This is what we would like you guys to be doing. Now I have to make these things pop on. And I'm going to use a method of changing your in and out points. I'm just going to go to my frame number 2 seconds. 2 seconds. And I'm going to trim back all the layers in points so that we don't see anything on screen until I want to call it up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the in point up. This is the in point at the front of the layer. I have an arrow facing east and west instead of just an arrow. This is when you know that you're going to start trimming your in or your out point. The out point is at the end of your composition timeline, and the ins are at the beginning. So I could just grab this thing and start sliding it. And if I hold down shift, it'll snap to wherever your playhead is. That's pretty nice. So now this first tile will not be visible until 2 seconds. I'm not going to want 2 seconds. I'm just going to trim them all back to 2 seconds to get them all out of the way and then start working closer to the front of the timeline. So that's one way to do it. I could also grab a layer and use the shortcut of Option right bracket, and that just automatically sucks that layer's in point. Did I say right bracket? I meant left. to the area where your playhead is, that point in time. And a nice easier shortcut is to say select all and go option left bracket. So now every layer has its in point trimmed to 2 seconds. That means I have 2 seconds of emptiness. I'm going to start filling it one by one with tiles, making these tiles pop on. I'm going to start with TG1, and at frame 0 I do not want anything visible, so I'm going to leave it empty. I'm going to go to frame 2. Page down on the keyboard will take me to frame 2. No, it's not frame 2, it's frame 1. My brain is about to explode. Alright, so frame 1, I would like TG1 to be present, show itself, in point at frame 1, option left bracket. You can see now it just brought that in point back to frame 1 and it popped on. And you know, you'll watch your sample movie, you'll try to get a gauge for the rhythm of these things. I'm going to do a step forward of either 1 frame, 2 frames, 3 or 4 frames to try to vary the pattern of how these tiles pop up. So I'm going to advance 3 frames forward, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to tell the bottom orange guy to show itself. So option left bracket, now I've got the orange guy, he's visible. So boom, boom. And now I might just go 2 frames forward. How did that happen? Oh, I did a shift there. Okay, 2 frames forward, page down, and I'm going to say that I would like this guy to reveal itself. And then I'm going to go 1 frame forward, I'm going to say this guy, show yourself. And I'm just going to dance around here, maybe 1, 2 frames. Now we'll go with 1 frame forward, and I'm going to have this guy pop on. No real science here, just kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, just making a pattern of randomness here, I guess, which really doesn't make a pattern. But how about that one? I have 2 things pop on, so I'll go here, and say come on the screen, so boom. And then let's see how many frames now, 1, 2, 3, and I'll have this guy come on, 1, 2, and here's this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, we'll go to this guy, and 1, 2, 3, it's now you. And I'm going to go 1, 2, stay on top just for a change. 1, 2, 3, 2 left, huh? Okay, you'll be you. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. Very last one at the bottom, barely see it. And what I have is, look at those things pop on. They have to make a noise when you do it. It makes better animation. Okay, there they are. They've come on. Maybe I'll do a RAM preview. RAM preview, composition, preview, RAM preview, or it's 0 on your number pad. And boy, that looks exciting. I haven't got to the arm yet, obviously, so just getting a feel for this thing. It looks great. Yep. Winner. Okay. Now the center tiles come on. They're going to come on as the outer tiles kind of make room for them. So right about here, I'm going to do M1, option left bracket, and then we'll add a few more tiles, and then I'll take M2, option left bracket, and right about here, option left bracket. And option left bracket. Maybe I should go there instead. Okay, look at that. But if you pay close attention, you'll notice that the middle tiles in the movie that we're trying to replicate here don't actually just pop on. They grow and fade in. So the growth and fade in pattern is quite simple. It's only 3 keyframes that we have to monitor in time for each one. For 2 attributes, that's a total of 6 keyframes, I guess. But I'm going to do scale, so I'm going to press S, I'm going to hold down Shift, and I'm going to hit T. And that allows me to bundle up a couple of these things. Instead of seeing all the transform, it's really nice to just say, hey, I just want scale, I just want opacity. So show me those, S and T for opacity. So I'm going to start the keyframing for both of these things. My scale, I'm going to start at 30%, and my opacity is going to be at 20. So there it is, small, slightly opaque, and in 3 frames, 1, 2, 3, we're going to grow to 105% and 100% opacity. And 1 frame forward, we will then settle at 100. So 3 keyframes, I've got it to pop. So it goes, it's bigger, boop, and then shrinks, kind of falls into place. Gives it a little extra life, a little zing-zang. And boy, that's really great. Now, do I have to do that to all the other tiles? No. I can copy those keyframes. I'm just going to drag a box over them, select them. I'm going to do Command C to copy. And I'm going to go to the very beginning of my next layer, M2. And I'm just going to do Command V for paste. And it's going to do the same thing. So then this guy, paste, this guy, paste, and what I end up with is those guys grow and fade in uniformly, and they have a nice little elastic pop. Really hot. Okay. Now we have the very last tile come on, boop, and then there's a slight delay before our hand comes on. I'm going to go 5 frames forward, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, you know what? I'm going to go 6 frames. And then the hand appears, option left bracket. My hand pops in. And at the same time the hand pops in, the ticket is also visible. However, it's not full scale, full opacity. It does the same thing that the middle white tiles did, which is it grows and fades in. But if you were to open up scale on the ticket and try to scale it down, you'll see that it grows from the center right now, and that just isn't the way it should grow. It should grow out from the bottom edge. And it's scaling from the center because that's where the anchor point is. So I need to move the anchor point so it's down near the bottom edge. I'm going to use a tool called the pan behind tool. Grab that little sucker, drag it down to the bottom edge of the layer, go back to my selection tool so I don't do anything funky anywhere. And now if I scale, it scales from the bottom edge instead of the center. And the reason that it was in the center in the first place is that anytime you import a file, it automatically has an anchor point in the center of its dimensions. So that's moved. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paste the same keyframes that are still in my clipboard, Apple V, and I've got this ticket that just goes pop, and it's that easy. It really is that easy. I'm just going to move it down a little bit. There we go. Boom! So I have now animated everything, except if we watch the sample movie, we know that there's 2 tickets. Excuse me. And we only have 1 ticket here. So what we need to do is a little trickery, and we're just going to duplicate, edit, duplicate that ticket layer. Now I have 2 of them. And if I was to hit U on both of these, boom, I'll see my used keyframes, U for used keyframes. There's the keyframes for both tickets, and if I look at the animation, I see that the problem is that the ticket, both tickets appear at the same time, but it's supposed to go one and then the next. So I'm going to have to take this second ticket and move it back in time. The difference in actually grabbing the layer, moving it, versus its endpoint is that if I grab its endpoint and start moving it back and forth, my keyframes do not move. All I'm doing is saying, show yourself here or there or whatever, you know, come to stage. However, if I grab the actual layer itself with a just standard arrow, I will move the layer and any keyframes that are attributed or whatever attached to it. So I'm just going to set that back so that those keyframes start as soon as the other one is done. But the problem still lies in the fact that they're in the same spot. So an easy solution is to just take the second ticket and hit R for rotation, go to my degrees, not revolutions, and just rotate it about 20 degrees, and then I can move it down just a little bit, maybe over somewhere right around there. Looks pretty decent. And then what I end up with, deselect that, is all the tiles come on, they look hot, the hand pops on, the tickets, boom, boom, and I am now done with this one, ready to move on to the airplane. So I'm going to go to my project window. I can make this less huge, and my project window has this composition. This says Airmiles, a little misleading because this composition now is about the arm and the tile. So I'm going to rename that comp. I'm going to select it in my composition, hit return. I'm going to call it arm tiles. Arm tiles. So I have arm tiles. Isn't that lovely? Now it's time to move on to a new composition that I'm going to make myself. It'll be empty. And so I'm going to go to my new composition button. I'm going to call this airplane flying. Airplane flying. My preset that I'm going to use is going to be D1 widescreen square pixel, frame rate 2997, duration 5, and I'm going to give myself a nice blue background for my sky. So I'm actually going to use the background color. You have to go to composition menu, background color in order to do this, but here I'm in CS5, so it's right here handy for me. Go to my blue somewhere right around here. That looks decent, and I look good. Okay, here's my new comp. Empty, but it has a blue background, and that blue background will serve as the sky. I could do it differently. I could have left it black and could go to layer, new, solid, and just put a blue solid back there. It's just one more layer I have to worry about. Since I know I can do a background color, I'm just going to stick with that. Now to move on, I'm going to nest my arm tiles composition, and I'm going to pull the composition from the project window, arm tiles here, and I'm going to drag it into the empty timeline of my new comp that I created. Boom, boom. There we go, arm tiles. Now it lives in this composition represented as a single layer. It's acting like it's QuickTime footage. I don't see anything. That's because in frame 0 I had no tiles visible. But if I were to scrub through time, I see there's all my hard work shown right there as a single layer. How nice to manage that as a single layer. This is called nesting, and it's a technique that you will use from here on out. It's a total lifesaver. What I'm going to do is just go to where it's totally visible in time here. I'm going to change its scale. I'm going to go scale S, and I'm going to scale it up so that I get pretty close to filling the height of this project or this composition. And I'm going to also start these tiles somewhere right around a little past a third of center, close to center, I guess. Okay. The reason why I'm doing that is because we're supposed to have the appearance that the camera is following this artwork as it's tiling on. So I'm just going to animate position. So I use scale just to scale it up. Now I'm going to work with position. But before I do that, notice that the edges of my artwork are kind of fuzzy. That's because I need to tell After Effects to think about my artwork that came from Illustrator. It's vector artwork. It's based on mathematical coordinates, and it can process these things if I tell it to. So the first step is to go to this little button, which is the Collapse Transformations button underneath the little sun. So the switch, I'm going to enable it. But I have to do more. I have to go back to my composition where I did all my work on the tiles, and I have to say, hey, all of these files are Illustrator files. Would you mind continually rasterizing them? It's the same button as the Collapse Transformations, but when you're dealing with a comp It's called collapse transformations. When you're dealing with Illustrator artwork, it's continual rasterization. So I'm going to do select all, Apple A, and I'm just going to click on that same button, boom, and now they are all continually rasterizing, meaning that no matter what scale I were to scale these things up to, it's going to be nice and clean and sharp. I'm not going to get fuzzy edges like I would if it were pixel or raster based. So there you have that. Okay, position, I'm going to animate position at frame 0. Boom. So frame 0, I'm starting to record position keyframes, and right when that very last tile comes in right here, that is where I want my artwork to have moved across the canvas to about the edge here, and I'm holding down shift as I move it just so that it stays nice and boom, 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 straight. Look at that. So we're kind of moving along as the tiles animate, and then we're going to have a pause because there's a slight pause before the hand turns on. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 frames forward. I'm just going to lay down another keyframe, which is this button over here. It basically just duplicates the keyframe that was previously there and plops down a new one at the same coordinate. So there's no movement between there. It's just going to hold. Then I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, where the hand is actually on, and I'm going to move the artwork again, just grabbing it, holding down shift. I'm going to go all the way to where we are looking at the hand, and then the tickets pop up. So the event takes 4 keyframes total. The first one, point A, where we're moving from right to left. Point B, we've now landed. We're holding for a couple frames with the exact same keyframes, and then we do a quick jump to the hand as it pops on, and then the tickets are there, and boy, that looks really cool. And now it's time for the airplane. We, at this moment, have been inside the window of an airplane. We don't know it, but this is when the airplane comes flying out, or we come flying out of the airplane, rather. So as soon as this ticket lands, I'm going to go 12 frames forward, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and I'm going to bring in my airplane. We deleted the airplane from the previous comp, so I have to find it. It's in my folder that was part of the import. There it is right up on top, airplane. If I just bring that in here, there's the airplane. Now this is going to be a very simple move. I'm just going to have to do a few things. I'm going to move my anchor point again with the pan behind tool so that I'm located in this window. And the reason I'm doing that is because I'm just going to do a scale change. Oh, and I don't want my airplane to be visible until this moment either, so I'm just going to do Option left bracket to trim the end point up. So what I need to do is scale this sucker up, and now that I've changed my anchor point, it's going to scale from that center. So watch, I just get to fly into that window. It's a really nice deal. So I'm going to start scaling up and up and up all the way to about 6,000. If I hold down shift while I do this, it moves faster. So I'm just going to go to about 6,000. I think that's all I need to do. I have to move my airplane a little bit. And oh, notice the fuzzy edges. See that fuzzy edge? Watch what happens as soon as I do continual rasterization. Nice and clean. All right. So now we're in the window, and I need to record this scale keyframe. So I just hit record, and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 frames forward, and we're going to just zoom out back to 100%. There it is. So the airplane goes, and we fly out from the window, and we're looking at it as it's cruising through the air. However, we have a problem. The hands are not moving with the airplane. So nice little shortcut trick here. It's not a shortcut trick, it's a technique that you're going to be using a lot from here on out. It's called parenting. So parenting just means you can take a layer, or as many layers as you want, and have them follow another layer, just do exactly as they do. So it's important that we establish the relationship early when we're in the window. And I'm going to tell the arm tiles layer to follow the airplane. So I have a column for parent. I'm going to go hello there, you can follow the airplane. And now as the airplane flies out, so does the hand with the tickets. That kind of bugs me right there, but whatever. I can live with it. What would be the fix? The fix would be to unparent and move my airplane up a little bit, I think. And then reparent. That's a little bit better. Oh, but look how high my airplane is. So maybe I'll do this. Maybe I'll also keyframe position P. So keyframe position so that when I'm here, I'm actually like here. Great, I can live with it. Love it. This is gonna get me big money. Okay. Sweet. So now we have the hands following the airplane because they are parented to. They're a child of the airplane. Whatever the airplane does, those hands will do too. Look. Whoops. What the heck did I just do? Let's zoom back out. Butterfingers. Wherever this airplane goes, the hands go. Okay. The last step here would be to do the clouds. So I'm going to grab a cloud from the same folder, bring it down into the project here. This cloud I'd like to be behind the airplane in the arm, so I'm just going to drag it to the bottom. I'm going to move it over here, roughly. And the cloud does the same thing. I don't want to see it until this moment, so I'm going to do Option left bracket. So I trim my endpoint in here, and I'm going to paste those keyframes that are still in my clipboard. And boop, and it does a nice little pop. I hit U just so I can see them. And at this moment, I'm going to animate position because the cloud is going to be moving this way. So here we have it, tiling, revealing that we're in an airplane, and then a nice cloud pops up. And then I would just probably take the cloud, duplicate it, move it further back in time. Something else I would probably do would be to relocate it. I just clicked on the word position to make sure all my position keyframes are selected. Notice this. In order to move it together, you have to make sure that you're over a keyframe with your playhead. With both keyframes selected, or all of them, whatever, you can move them together without it assigning different wacky positions. So this one's going to be over here. And now I'm going to move it back in time. So we got this first one and the second one. The second one I'm going to make move faster because it's going to be in front of the airplane. So I'm going to move this cloud to the top, and how cool is that? The only problem is that they're the same size. I'd like one of them to be smaller than the other. So I guess I'll do that to the back one. So I'm going to hit access scale, and I'll just go back to this, and I'll say instead of being 100, why don't we do 65? Excuse me. To 60. Cool. All right, RAM preview, and we've got the tiling, the reveal, some clouds. That airplane is in flight. Awesome. And that's Airmiles.
Thank you.